Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Look at we got.
Hey! It's the number one Myles Straw fan here, baby. Look at this. Look at this. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, we got
Myles
the straw. We got
there
the
it
straw.
is.
There
I got
it
the
is.
Myles Straw. I don't even know how this came up.
Tyvis will tell the story.
Yeah, remind me.
We was sitting here one day and
Yeah.
you was just grilling Myles Straw.
Yeah.
Beat this
And I
ass
was
up.
like, if he hits a home run, would you wear his jersey? He said, yeah, I'll wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And he finally hit a home run
like
last
2 weeks later, boom, he hit a home run. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go buy this jersey. So I went to the Guardians team shop before I got here.
Got the foam finger and everything.
They had enough material to accommodate Bull.
What happened?
Here it is.
What happens next? Myles Straw's next home run of Florida falls into the ocean. What's happening next?
He might be on the road. He might be on the road.
Yeah.
all the Canadian ice shield gonna melt.
Gonna melt?
They say home runs come in bunches. Once you see it go over one time, it's like, it's possible again.
That's true. You never know.
But listen, all you need to do
It's a nice jersey, though, actually. Very comfortable.
and if
Matches, goes well with my red shirt that I was going to wear today.
and it's stitched on. So what you need to do,
I say it's stitched.
all you need to do right now is you get you a seam ripper.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead and get that straw off the back, change that to Bull, put you a fictitious number on there.
That's right.
All of a sudden, you rocking and rolling. Brand new jersey on Tyvis.
That's it.
Ohio State money.
Yeah, on Tyvis.
Ohio State money.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to show you how to work that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm indirectly getting NIL money here. Yeah, there you go.
I got a jersey. That's $10 you can get off that. That's crazy.
Are we missing a light or something? Doesn't it look darker in here or something?
It's two black
crazy.
Two black people on the set.
Diversity matters here at UCSS.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to pass
Diversity
out.
matters.
I'm going to pass out.
You know, when we get together, it just conglomerate. It just it's a synergy thing.
And I
Well,
guess
honestly, it's the white jersey.
Oh, is that what it is?
You're wearing something whiter than you.
It is crispy white.
And it's so funny, too.
It's crispy white.
When we
No, I'm
first,
serious. Like, that's not a joke.
Okay, you're right. You're probably right. So when we first started the show, it was like you got to wear makeup. You're on TV, and we all wore makeup for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
I haven't put makeup on in a year.
Oh well,
Probably.
yeah. Well, I put makeup on my wife, but I haven't
you.
even done that. But I haven't done my face in a while.
No, right?
Actually, I lost my powder.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Big Ten, I did the tailgate show
Yeah.
last year. So I put my powder on. I stashed my powder.
Yeah.
And when I went to go grab it, somebody stole it.
It's gone. Somebody stole your powder.
Yeah.
Powder.
So, therefore, there it is. So.
Anyway,
In the flesh.
some big anniversaries coming up this month, Mike. This Friday, I won't be here this Friday because it's my son's school orientation, and I wanted to go, and it's during the same time we have the show. So I'm off Friday, but Friday is my 12th anniversary living in Cleveland.
Let's go, Bull. That's big time.
Yeah, that 12 years. I can't believe it.
Wow.
If you would have told me when I moved here 12 years ago that I would still be living here in 2023, I would have said, no chance. I don't want to be living here, blah, blah, when I moved here. And now I'm happy as a clam in shit. I don't know. Clam in I don't know. A pig in shit. There you go. That's what it is. I'm as happy as a pig in shit. It's more appropriate.
And we're off to a great start.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And it's also the reason I moved here 12 years ago is for a new job, and that was to be the afternoon host along with Dustin Fox on 92.3 The Fan. And so it's going to be the 12th anniversary of The Fan. That's on August 29th. For some reason, my old radio station, G's current radio station, Earl still works there as well. I would love to go on as a guest, but I've been banned from being a guest. I don't know why. I mean, I'd love to know. I've spoken with Andy Roth, and I don't. Maybe it has to do with Tom, my old boss there. I don't know what it is, but I've been banned from. I'm not allowed to be a guest on a station that I helped build. helped. I'm not saying I built it myself. I certainly didn't. Helped build and was loyal to. And because I wanted to make a change in my life, I've been banned by the station.
As a good friend of both Nick Wilson and Dustin Fox, do you think, you think they can get you in there?
No, that I wouldn't even put them in that position. Dustin and I still speak all the time. Not all the time, but we speak enough. I speak to Keith still. I speak to Lima. Those are the guys I still speak to most often. And Nick and I text sometimes. So I'm not going to put them in that position. But I think it's embarrassing by the powers that be that they would not let me be on as a guest. I'm sure I will not be acknowledged on the anniversary because we just, blow off people. And I don't know why they're celebrating the anniversary on August 25th when the anniversary is August 29th. That's inappropriate. Maybe that was the only day Ken could be there. I'm not sure. That seems to be all they care about is Ken, who I love and who's great. But that seems to be Ken got the front headline. A few other guys were in the background. You got a bunch of guys that have been there forever. Jonathan Peterlin, Darryl Ryder, Jeff Thomas, a lot of behind this. Keith Britton, he's been there since the beginning. He may be the most important person at that station. G. Bush has established himself. Let me explain something to you folks. And I apologize to G if I'm putting you in a tricky spot.
We've spoken over there. We're all good.
And so G didn't ask me to say any of this, and if I get him in trouble, I apologize. You want me to stop now?
You're a grown man. I can't.
Let me just say something. I have worked in the media for about 25 years. Until this last year and change, I worked in radio my whole career. I know the business pretty well. To establish a regular audience and to become a personality on a once-a-week show is almost impossible to do. I honestly can barely think of any people that have ever done that in radio. It's an anomaly. It's a 1 in 1,000 thing at best. At best. And G has done that with the barbershop. He has an audience that loves him, that can't wait for him to be on. Now, he fills in sometimes during the week, but that's his show. And to have a show established like that to the point where he has a built-in audience that loves him and is locked into everything he wants to say, for him to be acknowledged by, I believe it was Cleveland Scene magazine, right? Cleveland Scene? Mm-hmm. Cleveland Scene magazine on their top list is one of the 5 best sports guys in Cleveland. For a guy who, until this show started, was a weekend host mostly only.
King of YouTube.
Is bonkers, is unheard of. And so he should have been acknowledged on that, certainly, because what you've done with that show is almost never done. And that's not just in Cleveland, where it's not done, period, but across the country, in my experience. It almost never happens. I could think of maybe 1 or 2 other examples in 20 years of doing radio. It's a near impossibility, and you've done that. So you should be very proud of that.
Well, thank you for the glaring, the ringing endorsement. I'm always happy. I appreciate everybody who supports me because without the people, I'm here because of the people. I'm here because, they are locked in and they do appreciate me. So I want to thank you, my friend, for acknowledging that. And, I spoke to the people at 92. We all good. They got some good guys over there, bro. I'm teammates with a lot of people. I'm teammates with them, Lima, Phelps, Basket, all of those. Jonathan Peterlin, he's a fellow weekend guy himself. So, shout out. And I've always never hated. I've always said one thing. They gave me my first opportunity to get in the game. You can't change that forever and ever. I'll be indebted because they did give me an opportunity, how many days a week that is. So we've spoken about it, but I do appreciate you, my good sir, for acknowledging,
well
what
deserved.
we built.
Well deserved. And Jonathan Peterlin deserves his recognition. He is kicking ass in the ratings at night, which never happens. Never.
Shout out to Peterlin. Shout out to Jeff Thomas. Shout out to
the fan has never done great at night until Peterlin. Go ahead.
Appreciate you.
It's not just your 12-year anniversary, Bull. We also have another special anniversary of a guy from behind the glass.
What up, man? Yesterday was my 1-year anniversary at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I just want to, man, like all you all taking me in.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bull. You know, Bull has helped sharpen my skills, man. Shout out to Steve Becker for giving me the opportunity. Mike and Anthony and Steve behind the glass. Like, I love being here. It's helped grow my career. I came into this game thinking, damn, I want to be a sports radio talk host. Not even knowing that one day I'll be on TV in some shape or form. So, love being here. G, all I'm going to tell the fans is every Saturday, I'm gonna be the producer like Suge Knight. We going to pull up to the barbershop every Saturday, and we going to give y'all a fire-ass show every single Saturday, no matter who recognize it or don't, man. So shout out to everybody at UCSS. Shout out to everybody that support the brand, and shout out to everybody that support everything that we all individually do.
The East Coast ain't got love for Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Huh? The East Coast ain't got love for Snoop Dogg. If you want to, if you don't want the producer dancing
all in the videos, dancing,
come on to Death Row. Classic.
So we got a jam-packed show today. Yeah. On top of this, Bo, I thought what you said was very eloquent and well put. G. Bush, Tyvis, Earl.
We love on this show.
We love you guys.
We're one team. Everybody's a member of the team, unlike other places. Go ahead.
So yesterday we talked about the reports from the first day of joint practices between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns, and the consensus was it was a pretty even split. Browns held their own in some regards. Eagles won some parts, but overall a pretty even split. The reports from day two not as positive in terms of the Cleveland side of things. From all accounts, it appears the Eagles did what they did to almost every team in the NFL last year, and that was impose their will and come out on top. We didn't freak out too much yesterday, and Bo and G, you were here. Tyvis, you weren't, about the positive reports out of Philadelphia from the joint practice. Are you reacting negatively to the not as encouraging reports from day two?
I'm not, guys, and I want to hear from you because I've said this a million times. I take almost nothing into practice and preseason from me. Obviously, there's value to it for the coaches, for the players, for the team. But as an observer, and as is not the case with you guys because you played and obviously Tyvis played in the NFL and G played high-level college football, I didn't. So for most of us who don't even know what it's like to be on that realm of playing, we don't, like, who the hell knows? I don't know what these guys are working on. It's just like with spring training, right? Sometimes a pitcher will get blown up in spring training, and you'd be like, oh, well, should I worry about that? And then it'll be like, no, he was working on a slider that day. He was only throwing sliders, or he was only throwing changeups. I don't say that to apologize for Deshaun Watson, because when I was told yesterday that Deshaun Watson played great, I didn't care about that either. All that matters to me is how you play in the regular season. Now, how you get there, okay, you're figuring out how to get there, but football has become such a monster, we overcover it at this point. We're all part of that. So it gets so analyzed to death that we make a bigger deal of things that I don't think are that big a deal. But Tyvis, let's start with you because you weren't here yesterday. Mm-hmm. Is it big deal, little deal, no deal?
I mean, it's in the middle.
Yeah.
Am I happy about it? Yes and no. The thing about this is that, it was good to see them have a good day and a bad day. Now, the way that these joint practices, let's go. Let's take you behind the NFL scenes for practices. So maybe on Monday it was all first and second down day. So you running a bunch of first and second down plays. If you get the first down, you win that rep. Okay. Today or yesterday might have been third downs red zone period, which it pretty much it usually is. So if they didn't have success on third down or in the red zone, I think it was good for the Browns because up until this point, all we've been hearing about is, they're this, they're great. Deshaun Watson look like this, that offense looks like that. We seen them against the Redskins for one drive. They look magnificent. But it hasn't been too many times where we said that they've not looked great. I think what happened yesterday, if they did get dominated in practice, it's a good thing because now it challenges not only the players but the coaching staff. We need to be better in the red zone and in the third down. Where did we struggle last year? The red zone. If we can't score in the red zone, then Kevin Stefanski now has to become a better play caller. He went up against a good defense who I don't know if they play him in the regular season or not. I don't think they do.
No.
But to go up against a team that went to the Super Bowl And to struggle like that is now challenging the players. They got to get better. Coach Stefanski and the play callers got to get better. So I think it was good for them to get dominated like this. Now, not great that they did it. Obviously, it was a practice, so it really doesn't matter. Obviously, the preseason games is pretty vanilla, so you're not going to really get a chance to see what you got anyways. But in practice, those 2 practices, it's a free-fall. You call exactly what you want to call so you can see what works and what doesn't work. And yesterday they found out a lot of things that they want to do on third down or in the red zone don't work. So now it's back to the drawing board for Stefanski. The good news is today is, August 16th? The season don't start to September 10th. He got, 24 days to figure this thing out. I think it was good that the Eagles got something off like this to happen, and it'll make the Browns a better team moving into the season.
Gee, what say you?
I don't. It's not earth shattering. It's like, I can give you an example. Being just back in high school, we won a state championship, and then the next year it was brand new people playing, and so what ended up happening was, we had a group of individuals that didn't have much experience, and we was going through our scrimmages, and we would scrimmage St. Ignatius, and I remember scrimmaging Sandusky, and then coming back and scrimmaging in Steubenville, and now being like the national champions, and we had all these Division I athletes. We went to Steubenville and won in a scrimmage by 1 point. And they're like, bro, you guys are going to be terrible. Like, we were still messing with rotations. I don't even think I was starting at that time. Like, it was just like we were still tinkering with different lineups. And I just remember going through that and being like, thinking that you were horrible. But it's always good to think that you're worse than you are than going into the season thinking you're better than you are. Because at least when you go into the season thinking you're worse than you are, and you get there and you're like, oh, well, we weren't that far off. Like we cool. But if you go into that season thinking like, oh, we way better than what we is, and we reading these press clippings, you're gonna be in trouble. I think Tyvis brings up a really good point. It's all about finding out what works, right? And sometimes when you're doing a new playbook, and this is what I've been talking about with the playbook, this is a brand new playbook. You're trying to implement a vertical passing game. You're doing it without your top receivers in there, and you're trying to do it against the Eagles. You figure out really quick, like, oh yeah, we thought this was going to be open. It's not. Let me get back. Let me go back to some different route combinations, right? Because there's all kind of different route combinations, like Tyvis. You'd be like, ooh, that route combination right there on the backside was not hot. We need to go ahead and do something else. Maybe we throw some motion in there. Maybe we'll throw another route in there. But the good thing about it is they got time to implement it. So there's a lot of what they do that cannot be calculated in a game, because in a game, you could just say, screw it, I'm going to just run the ball. I could just be physical. I could do a lot of things, scramble. But it takes a little bit of time and effort to do it 7-on-7. And plus, you can play the game, play a little bit. Like Tyvis said, some of it is situational football. They'll say, this is all 3rd and 5s. This is all 2nd and mediums.
Yep.
This is all 3rd and 10. If you going all 3rd and 10 and you guys are out there running 7-on-7, you're not going to be getting 3rd and 10s because there's no threat of runs. There's no threat of the quarterback moving around. They know what's coming, so you really got to execute. So that's why I'm not really I'm not really too scared about anything about that.
I just really think like you can't get too excited when practice is good, and you can't get too down when practice is bad. No. If you see that you're looking, like when we would go to training camp in 2012, 2013, some of those years, and you just look at training camp and you'd be like, there's not a lot of talented players here.
At all.
That's one thing. Mm-hmm. But that you could tell to some degree. But it's clear the Browns have talented players, but we never know as outsiders what they're working on that particular day.
Exactly.
So like, I don't know how to judge it. I can't. We judge these things the same way we judge regular season games, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, I don't care about Deshaun Watson's completion percentage in a freaking practice.
You can't even calculate.
Stupid.
By the way, whoever tried to calculate that, you can't. Stop that. I know y'all was out there thinking about it. Stop trying to get cute. You cannot calculate 7-on-7 inside period what his completion percentage would be if it was a game. That was crazy.
No, yeah. It's because you never know. Players go into practice with agenda. Okay, maybe For example, when I play DB, I would say, you know what, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to bail on every snap. I'm not going to press. I'm going to bail on every snap because I want to work on bailing. I want to work on the timing of my bailing. So if somebody completes something, we don't know if that necessarily is going to work because I'm working on something else.
That's right.
So it's like,
that's why it's practice.
Every player goes to practice like yesterday, I don't know. Yesterday, Deshaun Watson missed a throw or something like that. Well, today I'm going to focus on hitting that throw. So maybe in practice, it only showed up one time where he hit the throw that he really wanted to hit that he missed yesterday. Right. Like, that would be the improvement. So you can't – it's a lot that go into it for you to judge practice. But what I did like – the one thing that I did like, because I seen a couple of clips from practice that I seen floating on Twitter, was that I seen the young guys, the rookies. I seen Isaiah McGuire get a good pass rush rep. I seen DeJuan Jones go up against Brandon Graham, excuse me. He had a good rep against him. So it was nice to see those young guys in there having some production against, a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. So maybe once AB has actually got a good draft.
Mikey?
I do want to mention, just so people know, we're not trying to create hysteria or fear out of nothing. A lot of the...
What hysteria or fear? We all said it's no.
No, I know. But the reason we're even having this discussion is a specific article came out from Zach Jackson. And we like Zach. He's been on the show before. This was the article he tweeted. The Browns got some good work in Philly. We've got some new tidbits and a look at the Browns versus a quality opponent. How about a stock report? And he does this weekly for stock up, stock down. And as part of this article, in the stock down section, this is what kind of went viral on Browns Twitter yesterday. Anthony cut right to it. But he wrote, in the stock down column, the passing game has been completely unimpressive. Anything that involves Deshaun Watson remaining in the pocket has been an adventure. And not since early in the camp have we seen strings of consecutive completions in any 11-on-11 period. To Tyvis's point, we don't know what they're working on. So I think anyone who's getting too worked up about this is probably looking too deep into anything, good or bad, that comes out of training camp. You could spin training camp videos just like spring training videos, just like preseason, summer league, as good as you want it to look or as bad as you want it to look, and it just comes down to what you actually want to value there.
And McNuggets, really quickly with this situation is when you look at baseball and spring training, there's a lot of guys in spring training that are veterans. They don't really play in spring training. There's not that much wear and tear in your body. I think the only guys that they worry about is pitchers and catchers, and even pitchers get hit around during spring training because what if they're trying to develop a third or fourth pitch, right? And so the same thing. But here's the thing about football. One of the things that what I believe Zach is seeing right now is called camp fatigue. Like, when you start, one year we were at OU and we started because we had one of the first games of the year. I think one of our games we actually played almost in August. And we had to start 2 days further ahead to be ready for that game. And so we reported to camp 2 weeks before anybody else was. And so when you report to camp, and the Browns have been in a Hall of Fame game, and they went to the Greenbrier, you got to think about it. They've been there longer practicing more than anybody. So after a while, you get to about this point of the training camp, and you're like, listen, we got to see some different people. I'm tired. My legs is tired. You know what I'm saying? Especially if your coach has been working you hard and stuff like that. And a lot of times, if you got more guys out, you got rookies taking those reps. You got to think about it. Rookies don't know how to practice like a pro, right? I'm sure when you get in there, they be like, "Hold on, what the? you practice
Hey, chill. You gotta calm down a little bit.
Right.
I get that you trying to make the team, but you gotta chill out a little bit.
Chill out, bro. You're doing too much. Be cool.
By the way, speaking of August football, high school football starts this weekend.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I was supposed to call the games, but I can't do it in Columbus because I got to do the Big Ten thing.
I mean, you can't call every game, Tyvis.
I'm mad.
You can't be at Big Ten.
I'm sorry.
Radio station.
I literally enjoy doing football on every level. I did high school, college,
you are the
and
Nick Cannon of Ohio, man.
Yeah,
you got all these jobs.
This dude came through. He do. Hey.
But look, go back to the joint practice thing. The one thing I like, the things that I like about joint is one positive thing that can come out of joint practice. Yes, you get to go up against another defense and you get to find out if your stuff works or not because they are experts at what they're running. So obviously, if you run it against a scout team, 9 times out of 10, I've been on scout team, they probably telling you don't pay attention to this so we can hit that route. Like, that's the type of thing that they do on scout team. When you're going up against another team that's perfected and they run it and that's their bread and butter, obviously they're going to be the experts at it. So you'll find out what the weaknesses or the strengths of that defense is. So that's what happened yesterday with Kevin Stefanski and his offense. He got to see what the strengths and the weaknesses of what he's calling is. And so secondly, the next best thing about it is you going against, for like our secondary, think about this, our secondary, they're young. You think about the Eagles secondary, you got Darius Slay, you got James Bradbury. James Bradbury is a great story for people that don't know. James Bradbury, as a rookie, gave up 300 yards to Julio. I thought his career was over. He resurrected his career with the Giants, came back, had a strong season with Philly last year. I think he was all-pro last year. So his ups and downs and his trials and tribulations is ridiculous. But think about this. As you get to practice with these guys, and I didn't think that this took place until I actually was in the league. After practice is over, you actually go up to them and you pick their brain. And they actually, like Darius Slay, he's like one of the coolest dudes. You ask him like, hey, you've been playing, you played for Jim Schwartz, or you've been in this defense, when you playing it, now that I'm in this defense, like tell me what some things you look at and how do you play corner to be successful? And believe it or not, he'll be like, oh, this is exactly what I do, young buck. I do this, that. Look at this. When you see this, this is what's coming. Know that you got help right here. So really what I'm saying is our defense has a chance to pick the brain from a team that went to the Super Bowl that's been under Jim Schwartz. If they pick their brain right, then they can become that type of defense later on. And that's what's the second positive thing about joint practices. You get to be around these guys that's been to Pro Bowls or all pros, and you get to ask them questions about how they do certain things and how they became successful. And believe it or not, they will tell you.
By the way, speaking of which, I saw Myles Garrett and I think it was Lane Johnson.
Correct.
Working together after they were schooling each other.
Listen, that's another thing. I saw them working together. And the one thing that I think does translate is up front. Like up front, when you're doing pass rush, that's translatable because it's just one-on-one stuff. Like you just working your moves, working your get off, working those things. And the thing that really shined was the fact that Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith was like unblockable. That's the great part about it.
Speaking of Myles Garrett, that brings us to our next topic. I know it's at least my answer, but go ahead, Mike.
And before we get to it, I just want to remind the good folk out there that we have two of our best-dressed panelists today on the panel. That is G. Bush and Adam the Bull. So if you want to be swaggy like those two for the upcoming Browns season, and you want a Browns jersey version of what Adam the Bull is wearing today, make sure you head over to Fanatics and use the link fanatics.com/UCSS. Get your best Browns gear possible. Be the swaggiest person at your Browns watch party and help us out. Help UCSS out on the back end. Help us help you is how we're putting this. So check them out at fanatics.com/UCSS. And I'm just kidding. Tyvis is actually up there in the running with Bull for best dress.
I wanted to introduce this. I wanted to have since I feel this is going to be a very pivotal week. That's dope. It's going to be a very pivotal week, a pivotal year for the Cleveland Browns in this show. I propose a dress schedule. I propose we come up with days of the week that represent things we want to wear. Like we could have Jersey Day. You bring your best jersey. Everybody on the panel.
Does it have to be?
Nope. Just any jersey.
We got a packed show, G. Let's talk about this when we don't have five other good topics. I would like to
be called swaggy, though, for real.
At
some point, I'd like to be swaggy.
You are swaggy. Okay, next topic here. I was thinking yesterday, if you look at the Browns roster in totality, obviously, if you lose your quarterback, that's the most devastating position to lose. So take out Deshaun Watson out of this picture. Who is the most irreplaceable player on this Browns roster outside of Deshaun Watson? And I want G and Bull to go first because I got your answers before. You guys are in unison and Tyvis is not. So I want you guys to explain your answer. Then I want Tyvis to go, and I can't wait to see your reaction to
Guys,
Tyvis'
you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. To me, it's easy, and it's Myles Garrett. He is one of the best players in the league. He's certainly one of the best defensive players in the league. They are counting on him for, we are expecting him. I know I am expecting him to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. There's no excuses. He has to be massively impactful. I am expecting, as crazy as this sounds, I'm expecting him to have a chance to break the sack record in the NFL. We talked about it yesterday. That he has by far the most talent around him he's ever had. Not even close. It's like a million times better than he's ever had around him. There is no excuse, and he can be so impactful. The rest of the guys in that D-line are good, but he's the He's the straw, the Myles straw, that stirs the drink. That's it. Without him, it's just a defensive line. With him, it can be a special defensive line, and he's got to lead the way. He makes everything easier for the linebackers. He makes everything easier for the secondary. Everybody's job on defense gets significantly harder if Myles Garrett doesn't play. It's that simple to me.
I think Myles Garrett is one of the players that if he plays at a certain level, that he can bring back this motto of, well, they got one of the best defenses we've seen, so they got an opportunity. He's a throwback to like the Buccaneers, the old school Buccaneers with Brooks and Lynch and Sapp. He's one of the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Jamie Sharper, Sack Master Terrell. He's one of the Bears with Urlacher and what's the other linebacker?
Back in the day, Mike Singletary?
No,
more recently.
They had Urlacher and there was another outside linebacker. It's not coming to me. But anyway, they were really good. Tommy Harris was in there. Here's the thing.
Who are you talking about? The Bears?
Yeah, Bears.
Lance Briggs?
That's it. There you go. Lance Briggs.
What's wrong
Lance
with
Briggs.
you, man?
Like he did his thing. He did his thing. Now, look, if he does that, I guarantee that the Browns are going to be in the playoffs and doing it big, because I think that he has a chance to break the sack record. I think he has a chance to change games. And now that you guys are Darius Smith, you're not going to be able to run from him. And they got the best defensive tackles that they've ever had. So now look at what you can do when you got a guy like Myles Garrett coming off the edge. And think about it. I think we've looked at the offense and we've already projected what we think it's going to be. But this offense might be ball control. This offense might be dink and dunk. It might be, hey, we're gonna run some short routes. We're gonna run the ball with Chubb. We're gonna let Deshaun Watson move his feet, and we're gonna let this defense dominate. And we're gonna let these guys running around. Now, that's probably not likely, but I'm here to say if you lose Myles Garrett, all that's off the table. Like that's just that you can't replace him. And people in Cleveland don't realize Myles Garrett is the best person on the team. Like when it comes to like skill for skill.
Who did they say? Who are they saying it?
Well, people would
Either
say
him or Nick Chubb.
Either him or Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
But Myles Garrett, consensus is a top 3 to 5 guy outside of a quarterback.
Yeah.
So you guys are going Myles Garrett.
Both going Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Whoa.
You're wrong.
Who you
Because
got?
the player that if this player gets hurt, it changes everything.
Cade York.
White Teller. And Joku.
No, it's
Donovan Mitchell.
It's Elijah Moore. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
What?
Elijah Moore changes everything. If Elijah Moore goes down, this whole offense is messed up because he literally is their number one guy right now. He rides up in the backfield. They have nobody to replace Elijah Moore. This guy's getting like 80% of the balls this year. Are you serious?
They got a guy who had 1,300 yards.
What are you talking about?
Amari Cooper.
Okay, all right. So
Guys never had 500 yards.
They
in a season.
literally just put in a whole new offense for this man. Have you not?
For him?
What have y'all been looking at?
He is him now.
You right. I actually went to camp and watched practice. My fault. What the heck do I know?
We just talked for 20 minutes about, and you said how practice doesn't mean that much, and now you're basing.
Did you just watch him in the preseason game?
He got two touches.
What happened after he went out?
Well, that's another part, Tyvis.
It's preseason.
He got hurt in the first thing, and what happened after that?
Mike,
that was it.
we need to call HR and get Tyvis drug tested right now.
Okay.
I know he doesn't do drugs, but
listen. Listen. Let me tell you how I know.
All right.
Marquise Goodwin has went down, and what have we heard about how impactful that has been on our offense?
Why would anybody think it's impactful? He was going to be like the 5th or 6th receiver.
No, because you don't have nobody to stretch the field, and they said like everything is kind of like dink and dunk. You just said that if we have to go back to dinking and dunking.
Yeah, we look like we might have to.
That's the dink and dunker right there.
We might have to.
That's the guy that they're going to dink and dunk to there. Okay.
He's not even the best receiver on the team.
Okay.
So you would, if you
remember? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Remember I said this, okay? If he goes down, just remember what I said, okay? Just saying. I'm just saying.
It's as stunned as I've ever been on this show.
And defensively, a guy that if this guy goes down, they in trouble too. If Juan Thornhill go down, it's over. It's over.
What?
It's over.
Do you know these guys' agents?
Just telling you. I'm just telling you.
Y'all
Listen, if Juan Thornhill goes down, you have no true post safety back there anymore. So then you go back to having the J3 back there who gets nosy at all the time.
Hey,
He's going to be up there and they're going to make plays.
Hey, watch
I think Juan Thornhill's more important than Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, your boy.
I think he's more. See, this is the thing. I'm not talking about impact in the game. I'm not saying that. Because if that was the case, I would have never said Anthony Walker would have been as huge of an impact as he was, and he went out and we seen what happened to that defense. So what I'm saying is a guy, it's a lot. We seen a guy that didn't play the post particularly that well last year. What happened last year? A lot of plays got made.
Well, there was a lot of other things that wasn't good from the Browns too on defense.
If Myles Garrett go down, I think they did at least a good job that they can still keep the ship going. You know, you still got Sedarius, you still got Double O, you got guys that's productive. If he go down, you can't even tell me who his backup is.
I don't even know what to say.
Who's his backup?
Hickman.
Bubba Bolden.
Hickman.
He's injured. He got waived and he's on injured IR.
Hickman is a guy who's around the football. You're going to break him down, and you're going to actually bolster my point here, Tyvis. Ronnie Hickman is a guy that can play that post safety. And guess what? He's going to show you why he's good on the telestrator later on, and that's what we call a tease in this industry.
I'm like beyond stunned right now. I rely on Tyvis having a level head.
I'm just telling you.
And he's just
if Elijah Moore goes down, the offense is in the trash.
So you telling me he gonna have more? He gonna have more touches, more receptions, more yards, more touchdowns than Amari Cooper?
Yeah, probably. He gonna have more touches for sure. 1,000%.
What about yards?
How many times do you think Amari Cooper gets targeted a game?
9.
8, 9.
What? You think he gonna get 8 targets a game?
Yeah.
What did he get last year?
Close to it, and he's got a better quarterback this
I'm on
year.
it. Hold up.
Yeah, I need to know that.
He's been out here working with the route god on the internet.
All I know is, shut up. Shut up. I can't believe you just said.
If you know, you know. Check him out. He out here dancing him.
He averaged 7.76 targets per game.
7
so
and
about
3/4 targets per game with Jacoby Brissett mostly.
We gonna see.
Can we get the route god?
This is a new offense, so we gonna see.
Yeah. Listen.
I know is if Elijah Moore goes down, I don't know who's replacing what he's doing. Because ain't none of them other receivers lining up in the backfield. Ain't none of those. Shut up.
How many times
sacrilege? Say that again.
Hey, how many times do you actually think he's going to be in the backfield per game?
Quite often.
How many?
Especially and particularly the red zone.
So how many? You think he's going to average how many running attempts per game?
2. Maybe 3.
So 2 running attempts per game can't be replaced?
Who else is going to do it?
I don't know. Nick Chubb.
Jerome Ford.
No, see, it's a difference when Elijah Moore is in there. See, because if Elijah Moore is in the backfield, you don't know if it's run or pass. That's first of all. Nick Chubb's back there 90% of the time is probably a run. So if Elijah Moore is back there,
90% of the time.
Think about this.
That's not true.
Think about this. You put yourself, you're a linebacker. You're a middle linebacker. You are the Mike linebacker of a defense. You break the huddle. Boom. Yeah. You come out and you looking for your matchup. You in man. You in matchup. And you got Elijah Moore. Yeah. What are you thinking to yourself?
Why would a linebacker have Elijah Moore?
Who else is going to – if we in 11 personnel, it wouldn't be 11. If we in 001 personnel –
I don't know what the hell that means.
So
1.
0 running backs, 1 tight end.
Okay.
So that means it's 4 wide receivers on the field. Yeah.
You're gonna have why you still
you don't take the mic doesn't leave.
But why would the Mike linebacker have?
Who else is he gonna check?
The tight end.
Okay, so who's gonna check? You think the tight?
You're not gonna. So
who's the safety? But I'm saying
you're gonna have 3 corners on the field. Wouldn't one of those 3 corners take Elijah Moore?
So it's 4 wide receivers on the field.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So there's 3 outside and then Elijah Moore in the backfield.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's 2 plays. I mean, it's 2 plays a game.
Guess how many plays it takes to win a game?
Making a case for Elijah Moore. He's still nuts.
Look, he see where I'm going.
He's still crazy.
That is still nuts.
He's still crazy.
I'm just
because
Hey, listen, I think we hope that Elijah Moore becomes so important that you can't afford to lose him. I hope you're right.
This is the last year in fantasy that he'll go less than the third round.
What do you think he's going to have? 1,400 yards?
No, I'm just
talking about me and my Kool-Aid stats.
highly productive guy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yards and touchdowns and receptions. If you get a PPR league.
Can't do worse than last year.
PPR league.
Get this man some Kool-Aid, bro, because this man, I thought it was me.
Are you going to take Elijah Moore in like the second round in our fantasy draft?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, there you go.
But if he's there in the third,
Proof's in the pudding.
If he's there in the third, I will.
Third round? Taking him in the third round?
Mr. All the touches in the world.
If he's there in the third, I will definitely snatch him in the third round.
All the touches.
Mike, go ahead.
We asked the YouTube the YouTube community poll who they thought was the most irreplaceable player on the Browns this year. And this is actually the most surprising answer of them all. Not because of who they picked, but because how they got there. And before I tell you the results, I got to tell you who brings us this question, and that is our dear friends over at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and the signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So we put this question up on our community tab, and we asked simply, we didn't take out Deshaun Watson. Which player do you believe is the most irreplaceable Brown? Deshaun Watson was a candidate. He only got 43% of the vote. Myles Garrett got 54% of the vote.
Now those people are crazier than Tyvis.
Yeah, that's kind of.
For the record, Elijah Moore got 1%, Amari Cooper got 2%, and then Deshaun Watson with 43%, and then Myles Garrett with 54%. That means the DTR train is strong and in full force.
Who did you pick, McNuggets?
I actually said it was Amari Cooper. I thought it was Amari Cooper. For a lot of the same reasons Tyvis said Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
But I think without Cooper, that wide receiver room is talented, but that is completely unproven. And I think you need at least one proven commodity on the outside.
By the way, G and I just spent the last 15 minutes arguing for Myles Garrett, but there's no way I'm arguing for him over Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
That's insane.
I know that's egregious. That's egregious.
That should have been 100.
Why did y'all not take Deshaun Watson?
That should have been 100% Watson.
Now watch this. This is the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
It's because they have that much faith in DTR.
Man,
They feel like because if he don't play, that's who they say we can roll with.
It's too early to say that because
People are freaking
it's
crazy.
too early. Listen, we gotta listen. Hold on, wait a minute, Steve. We gotta listen.
Aura.
Okay, DTR is great. He's a great talent. I mean, the guy started at UCLA for 5 years. When he's been in the game, he's been electric. He's brought this offense some new life, and I mean, he's doing really well. But you always have to take into consideration he is going against the threes, for Christ's sake. It is the threes that he's doing this against. If this is the ones or maybe the twos, then I hear it a little bit. These are the threes. The Hall of Fame game, he came in the second half. That was against the threes. This game, he came in, the third quarter? That was against the threes. So it's like, well, how are
now
y'all?
He's going to start this
how
week.
are y'all saying
We're going
that?
to get a real test tomorrow.
Why are you saying this so early?
But then again, I don't think the Eagles are going to start their starting defense.
This is a poll question.
Yeah.
Who has more buzz and upside? Imani Bates
or DTR?
Or DTR? Woo!
That's a good one. I agree.
Answer that
Please
question
put that
at
on the
end of
poll.
show.
That's
We'll
a
get to that
great
poll put up right now, but we got to get to our next topic, and it involves Elijah Moore. I'm not sure if you guys caught this quote from joint practices, but I'm going to read it to you. Amari Cooper was asked about the duo of him and Elijah Moore.
By the way, I think we should do this for 2 seconds and then get back to that question he just asked.
Well, I want to see the poll. I want to see the
You want to
fan
know
reaction.
too? I want to know.
So a reporter asked Amari Cooper about the tandem of him and Elijah Moore, and this was his response, and I quote from Amari Cooper: "Moore is a great compliment to the offense, a great compliment to me. We're going to be a great tandem together. You know, I think about the great tandems like Tory, Holt, and Isaac Bruce. You know, that's what I think we could be."
Yeah,
Bold
obviously that's ridiculous,
thoughts.
but whatever. I mean,
Look.
it's Amari Cooper being confident. It's fine.
Don't dismiss
it's silly.
it. They try to be the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, they can't.
Why can't they?
Because
Listen, they said-
Amari Cooper is what he is. We already know stuff like this all the time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know.
You know what this tells me?
Yeah.
When Amari Cooper said that, you know what he told me? How important Elijah Moore was to this team. Just saying.
He thinks Elijah. He might be with you.
Oh no!
Y'all was so quick to dismiss it. I'm just saying. Elijah Moore was playing a huge part of this offense.
That was disrespectful. That was disrespectful a little bit. I didn't know.
Really?
Isaac Bruce has over 1,000 catches by itself.
Yeah.
15,000 yards and 91 touchdowns.
What is Amari Cooper's career numbers?
I'm gonna look at him.
Amari Cooper's career numbers. Yes, I have them for you right here. First career, he has 595 catches, 8,236 yards, and 55 touchdowns.
Hey, stop.
Wait, how many touchdowns does Isaac Bruce have alone?
Steve, take 216 full, please.
91. Get him off here. Sorry. Get out of here. Sorry. Disrespectful.
But that's 16 seasons,
Hey,
though.
but look.
Amari Cooper's on what? 8, 9, 8?
The
What
fact
year is this for him?
that he was able to play 16 seasons as
That
a
is
receiver
pretty crazy.
And remember,
crazy.
He make me feel good
And
about my
remember,
hairline, too.
He played and those guys played and put up those stats before. I know they were a big offensive club, but overall the NFL, defensive backs could play a lot harder defense in those days.
You could just launch yourself at a defenseless guy.
my God.
Just put his helmet right under his
Amari
chin.
Cooper is not as good as either of those guys career-wise.
Tory
Now,
Holt.
his career's not over yet, but
I mean, he can't catch that. I mean, he has 900-something catches, 13,000 yards, 74 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he's the. And
What
he's,
year is this for Amari? How many years has he been in the league?
This will be his 10th season in the NFL.
Dang.
You ain't-
His
you
time is
not
dwindling
about to-
down.
what is he, 28? 29?
I lied. This will be his 9th. Sorry. This will be his
He
9th.
has
He got
no way.
He got
How old is he?
He's
7
29.
more. What do you play? 6 seasons? He got 7
When's he
more
gonna be 30?
seasons.
What do you say?
When is he going to be 30?
Next June. He just turned 29.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 good years
if
left.
He got,
maybe 3
if
at the
he
most.
plays for 7 more seasons,
7.
He ain't gotta
that's
play.
16.
How many receivers play for 16?
Not a lot no more, but that's not the point.
The most.
Wait a minute. In today's day and age, they should play forever. They don't
but
have
these guys-
2-a-days.
look at-
They ain't got none of that no more.
We be cutting them. We want young dudes. We be cutting
Tyvis,
them like
look
that.
at some of the best receivers from 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Julio Jones.
They went off the cliff, all of them. Roddy White, Julio Jones, AJ
Roddy
Green.
White was not.
Oh, AJ.
He wasn't that
Stop
level. Fair,
that.
fair.
Yeah.
But Roddy White has some numbers.
Who are you saying? Like Julio,
AJ
Odell,
Green.
What year, bro? What year you want?
Brown.
2017?
Bring up the 2017 wide receiving leaders.
Antonio Brown led the league in receiving yards.
Gone.
Done.
He's still good to
Dunsky.
Gone.
go. He's still
Julio
good to
Jones.
Gone.
Keenan Allen.
Done.
go. He's still
Gone.
rolling. What you mean?
Keenan
He's
Allen
still
is-
he rolling.
He
What do you
is
mean?
not elite.
He's not elite anymore, but he's still good.
need to
He's
cut
still
that.
good. He's still good.
DeAndre
He's
Hopkins.
still routes up.
DeAndre
elite.
Hopkins still good.
Thank you.
I don't
Adam
think he's elite,
Thielen.
but he's still
I
good.
think-
That's all. That's
Done.
over with.
Done.
What's that? That's
Adam
over.
Thielen.
Done.
Adam Thielen done.
Done.
Your boy
By the
Mike
way, he might
Thomas.
be the number 1 receiver on.
Who?
Your boy.
Slim? Oh, Slim Mike Thomas is about to have.
He's
He
done.
about to be.
He ain't done anything in 3 years.
Comeback player of the year.
By the way,
Comeback player of the year.
By the
Slim
way,
Michael Thomas.
did you
Book
guys
it.
know Adam Thielen was on the Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you know he could be their number 1?
He's their
They have
number 1.
Nobody.
He's their number 1.
Oh, they're in
How
trouble.
bad are they?
Wait a
They-
minute. Who opposite of him? Terrence Marshall went down, didn't he? He just got
I can't
hurt.
remember who
And
their other
they
receivers
drafted Kashawn Booty from
are.
Butte.
LA.
Sean
Butte.
Butte.
They got they got DJ Sharp.
And their starting running back is not very good. It's what's his name?
Miles Sanders.
He's all right. They got a rookie quarterback. They're gonna suck.
They're done.
DJ Shark, they also signed as their second receiver.
Yeah, he's not.
They'll never touch them.
Yeah,
them
go
numbers,
ahead.
them numbers
Who's next?
sacrilegious.
Adam
Who's
Thielen.
next?
Next,
back.
after Michael Thomas is Tyreek Hill, still very
Still
good.
great. But he was the only guys that are still good now. Were all really young at that time.
And then you ready for the next 3?
yeah.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald,
Done.
one
Done.
Larry, Marvin Jones Jr.,
Marvin
He's still rolling. What you mean?
Rob Gronkowski, and then
Done.
number 11, AJ Green.
Yeah.
Done. Everybody done. They're done.
Man, listen. 3 of them dudes on that list still chugging along. What you mean?
Because they were 21, 22.
That's right. So what? So Isaac Bruce started his career off really
I hear
good.
you, but
They'll never
how
get
many
to-
years do you think Amari Cooper's still going to be playing at a high level? 3,
15,000.
maybe.
Route running is something that has no age limit on it.
AJ Green wasn't a good route runner.
He didn't create separation like Amari
How
Cooper.
was he gonna get these 91 touchdowns?
Who?
How was
Amari?
Yeah, 91.
I don't know if he is.
I mean, you just said he's not even the most important wide receiver on the Browns.
I'm talking about
That's
from a
almost-
catch standpoint.
And
That
a lot-
touchdown thing, that ship has sailed. He needed to be at
Obviously,
like
that comparison
70 right now.
is ridiculous. And we're just talking about Cooper. Elijah Moore, who we're all optimistic about, especially Tyvis, has done nothing in the NFL to this point.
That's because he was not utilized correctly.
That's fine, agreed, but he still has done nothing.
How old
to
is
this
he?
point.
24.
Yeah, I don't know. How old is Elijah Moore, Mike?
Give me 1 sec.
Probably
Listen,
24, 25.
all I'm saying is the touchdown thing is not going to happen.
The yards. The yards.
The yards. What is he
He's
at?
23.
Yeah, how many yards
23?
did Elijah Moore have?
Elijah Moore's
9,000?
only 23.
Elijah Moore has 900.
I mean, not Elijah Moore.
Amari Cooper's
Not
going to need
Amari
5,000
Cooper.
yards just to catch Holt, let alone Bruce. He ain't getting 5,000 more yards.
Oh, yeah. He won't even get to the 74 that Holt got.
Wait a minute. He averages 1,000 yards a season.
You think he's going to have 5 more 1,000-yard seasons?
It's possible.
It's unlikely.
It's
At
possible.
29.
And they trying to
Listen, what if
Yeah.
the next 2 years
Yeah.
he get 1,500 yards?
That's okay.
Well, then he's
That's
got a
cool.
shot.
All right,
That's
so
that's
this is
unlikely,
the big,
though.
He said starting now. No. See, starting now.
How many does I think you said he has like
He's
6,000.
never had 1,500 yards.
He's never had 1,200.
He's never had 1,200. You
So
want to
Big
get 1,500
Nuggets,
2 years
chill
old?
out.
So yeah, he's not getting
Listen.
that.
All right, Mikey. What do we got next?
We got Dave Richard coming up in a sec.
Yeah.
And we'll get to
What
him.
time's
Do
Dave
we wanna,
coming on?
At 12.
Oh, okay.
So while we're doing that, do we want to revisit the question G asked? We have over multiple hundreds of votes.
yeah,
in the
please do.
What's the
YouTube
go ahead?
chat on this. Let me do a fast real quick
People
while
are
we get
prisoner
into
in the
it.
moment. So as much hype Amani Bates
Bates
got,
got, right.
I bet you DTR is ahead of him.
I will
it's
do that
football.
one
Prisoner
sec.
of the moment
First,
in
though, we
football.
have a super chat I have to read. Tyvis, you tweeted about Madden yesterday, and we have a super chat from Jay Daniels who says, how large of a super chat do I have to make to play Tyvis in Madden? Tyvis, what's your number?
You play Madden?
25 cent.
You play Madden?
I played it. So listen, this is the thing. I used to, when I was in college, from the time I was about 6 years old to the time I got to the NFL, I played Madden all the time. Like, that was the only game that I played.
And then what happened?
I got to the NFL and I stopped playing Madden because once you do football all day, you don't want to come home and then do football on the
You played
game.
MLB The Show?
I did play that, but I played 2K and Call of Duty.
Yeah,
As
okay.
of recently, all of my friends has been like, we about to play Madden again. So I bought the new Madden and I played it yesterday. And it's literally the same game.
Yeah.
It's the same game that I played in college all of those times. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so EA Sports is literally just taking the same game
Go ahead, preach to him.
and putting it back out, updating the rosters and
Yeah.
putting it back out there because it's no different.
But they took out all the good stuff, like the Tony Bruno
I'm
show.
I'm
They took
shocked.
Out,
How
Tony
they
Bruno,
are
I've heard
y'all,
that name before.
EA
Right.
Sports is committing grand larceny right now by what they doing with this. It is literally the same game.
really?
I cannot believe
You
it.
can't do stadium relocations. You can't change the price of your concessions. The draft is trash.
I don't even see. I didn't do it. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And went straight online. I played against the Ravens. I was the Cowboys, and I won by 14 points.
You still people still throwing jump balls every play.
He was trying to do that with Odell, but my user game is crazy. Crazy user picks. So yeah, I'll be down to play. I'll
There
play
you
somebody
go.
in the chat.
Mikey?
It don't matter. Send me your game. Hey, you got it. Wait a minute. Is it cross play now?
I think so. And I know Earl. We're gonna get Earl and Tyvis to play, and we're gonna make content out of that. So.
Hey, but I also heard some of the reviews. It's the same commentators. They literally saying the same commentary that they said on 23.
the same game.
Anthony just showed me a picture. They literally copy and paste the entire
Damn.
thing. Hey, what is it? 2K Sports. They need to go get some NFL license and go make us a real football game.
NFL, stop playing around. And by the way, Tyvis did not tell the real story. As a married man, every wife intrinsically hates the game. And you have
That's a lie, because my wife will play Call of Duty.
You got a prorated amount you can play though.
No.
If you ain't done your chores, Tyvis, you ain't playing. I told you what you was gonna do.
No, I do
My son plays,
Right.
and so I'll play with him sometimes. He plays like this Star Wars game he's been playing. I don't know. But we play MLB The Show sometimes, and we've played Madden a couple of times. But I don't play a lot. I was never a big video game guy.
I am like I might be the greatest 2K player to ever play this. And Call of Duty, I just started like getting back into Call of Duty again. And I still got. I had a 16 body dub the other day. So
I have no idea.
I swear to God, I had 16 kills.
Earl's calling cap.
I had
That's
16.
such
Why would I lie?
That's
Why would I lie? See, and I'm not talking resurgence. I'm talking like the regular Royale. Vondale, 16 body dub.
Royale.
You know what I'm saying?
Tyvis, you're my age. Did you play NFL 2K5?
Yeah, with Tory or Terrell Owens
T.O.
on the. Yeah, that was the
by
best
far
one.
The best
that was the best
football
one.
game. It wasn't even close. By far the best.
They
football
had the
game.
one where you could see through the helmet and you could play like the whatever that mode was called.
It was mainly useless, but it was cool.
All right, Mike. What else you got?
Anthony,
you got,
and listen,
poll. We got it on the poll.
Anthony and Earl is mad at me because they want to play Call of Duty, but when they on, I'm not on, or vice versa. But they don't believe that I'm good. Like I ain't got like a bunch of dubs. Like I'm really like that. And
So Anthony and Earl, are you guys? Do you guys play all the time together?
Pause.
No, we've never played.
that is
I
the
don't,
pause.
I don't play Call of Duty anymore.
It's a pause.
Well, I'm glad that's what you were referencing, Bull, and not something else.
Yeah.
I play every now and then. I'm nice though. I'm nice. I know Tyvis said Mrs. Powell's nice. Tell her come see me. Come see me.
Pause. 2 in a row. Third strike, you're out. Get it together, fellas.
My wife like that. And my wife like she catch some bodies on the war zone.
Pause.
That's 3.
What are you guys doing? Is this intentional? Is this intentional? Like,
I think that was.
They had to be.
That was.
It was too perfect.
Yes. Mike, what are the results of the poll? We got to hear this.
So Dave Richards joining us in literally 2 minutes. So
Okay.
All right,
we will do. We actually may make this a full topic on Friday if DTR plays well.
No, I'm not here
my
on Friday.
goodness.
I got to be here for that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we'll save this. But
Yeah.
before I tell you the results of the chat, we had 394 votes in 15 minutes on the poll.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the results came out to be?
I'll say 60-40 DTR.
I'm gonna say
this
70-30 Monty Bates.
and Monty Bates reigned supreme 65-35.
And Bull, you won. DTR 67%.
Wow.
Prisoner of the
Amani
moment.
Bates, thing of the past.
Amani Bates was him.
60. Yeah, he was. He was. Yes, he was.
He got the, he
And now he's not him anymore.
So what does the poll say? See, they won, how many?
2/3 went for DTR.
67-33. G. Bush, we'll do this full topic
Yeah.
either Friday
I feel
or
like
Monday.
we need to have a conversation. Like a topic should be if you had to bet $1 million.
That's
which
crazy.
one?
Who is most likely? Who is the better player in their sport 5 years from now?
That's a good one. That's a good
Now,
one.
Amani Bates has the advantage because he's more likely to get an opportunity,
Yeah.
at least sooner.
Well, I
Bet-
can tell you.
and-
Well, I can tell you, it's 2 million reasons why Josh Dobbs gonna be the backup this year.
Well, we know that, right? That's what I'm saying. Like Amani Bates might play in the NBA
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
The chances of DTR starting a game for the Browns are almost nil.
Slim to none.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he come, but I'm gonna tell you what, if he come in and have to play and he's good, they're gonna go crazy. They're gonna start the season off with that.
I mean, they was talking Josh Dobbs as the starter last year.
Yeah.
G.
That's right.
Bush,
They were-
I've told you guys
Yeah.
off air, and I'm not even sure I'm confident saying it on air, what my dream scenario for content is this season for the Browns. And it's even better with DTR than it would have been for Dobbs.
Don't say that.
Oh Lord!
Let's
No,
I'm
not
not
so
gonna say
say
that. I'm not gonna put it out in the world.
Right here.
Earl said if I say it out loud, they'll kill
Oh,
me. I
they
don't want
will.
it to happen. I'm
They
not even
will.
gonna manifest it. I'm just saying, content-wise, you guys know what I'm talking about. That would be the
Yeah.
dream content scenario. We got Dave on the line. Let me make sure I get a mic check. We'll bring
Yeah.
David in a second. Boy,
I
I need you to
guarantee
fill
you at least
60
a
seconds.
quarter of our audience thinks DTR would be a good starting quarterback right now. At least a quarter of our audience.
Oh yeah.
I think Donovan Mitchell would be a great first baseman.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Monty Bates and DTR got more hype than Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
No, he
Well,
didn't. No, he didn't. Somebody said that he had the greatest season as a Cavalier. And
That's right. Who
just
said
him.
that?
That guy.
A very well-established, but not on a poster, host of a certain thing said that at one time in his life.
One point
But
aside.
we have someone to get to. We have a very special guest joining us now. It's a blast from the past. It is our only, the only fantasy expert we listen to, and that is Dave Richard. Dave, long time no see, my man. How you been?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Good, Dave. How's it going? Did you freeze? Did Dave freeze?
Yep. Right off top. Yeah,
Dave froze. Literally said one word. He hated it so much it locked him out and froze. Give him one. No, he's back. Dave's back. We got him.
I want to know who.
Hello.
Unfrozen. You're unfrozen.
That take was so good, Dave, that it froze our system.
That's usually how my takes go.
Yeah. Dave, it's that time of the year. Everybody's going crazy.
Jay Jettas.
You got draft. And things have changed so much since when you first started as a fantasy analyst, and I've known you for, I don't know, 12 years, something like that, whatever.
That. Yeah, really long time.
Yeah. And even way before that, like, it used to be everybody kind of played the same way. 20 years ago, everybody kind of had the same rules. Maybe you went with a second. I don't even think there were second quarterbacks really back then. It was really just PPR and non-PPR was the only thing. Now there's so much variety between the two quarterbacks or a super flex, if you will, dynasty, best ball, keeper leagues. It's crazy when you write or you make your rankings and stuff like that. Do you just do one list, or do you have to do one for keeper, one for dynasty, one for two quarterbacks? I mean, it's very complicated now.
It used to be, like you said, and fantasy baseball used to be the crazy one. Now football is starting to catch up.
Yeah.
No, my primary rankings, I've got two sets. I've got PPR and non-PPR, and they're for redraft leagues, so just the upcoming season. I think we need to do more of that, and I think there should be more of that. I just need to figure out a way to do it more efficiently. But there is absolutely a growing appetite for change in fantasy football. I hear about super flex leagues all the time. Dynasty leagues are growing by the year. I was just in Canton for a fantasy football event, and yes, there is such a thing as a fantasy football event.
That's right.
I was pitched on the idea of a GM league where you have to operate as if you are a true GM. There's a salary cap. You have to balance it. There's trades. That has to be fair as well. It's crazy where fantasy football can grow to still. That hasn't necessarily been there yet. But for the majority of the people, at least who play on CBS Bowl, they play in redraft leagues. They keep it simple. It's a fun way to stay in touch with friends. It's a fun way to compete against coworkers or family. You get the idea. That's still the majority of fantasy leagues as we sit here today.
Speaking of which, we are doing the second year of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Fantasy League. You see my trophy there. It's not in front of me right now because I normally sit in that seat. But I am the defending champion.
Mickey Mouse Championship.
Soccer.
Mickey Mouse Championship.
Why is it a Mickey Mouse Championship?
Because you won.
There's my championship. I plan to win it again. Now, in fairness, G. Bush, who's sitting next to me, he really had the best team. He had the best team, but his team choked in the playoffs when it mattered.
Cooper Kupp gets injured.
Cooper Kupp's injury hurt you.
It hurts me a lot.
But he was gone long before the playoffs, though.
And that brings me to it. I think it like this. Like, is there an undervalued position before they? People used to tell you, hey, stay away from tight ends. You can get one in the waiver wire. Now you look at it, and if you can get one, they can really pay dividends, especially late in the season. Or things like wide receivers are the new running backs. Running backs used to go off the board. Are there any receivers now where you would consider just those guys are completely head and shoulders above the running backs, and you want to take those guys available right now?
Well, it depends on your league scoring first and foremost. I think it's been made perfectly clear, certainly over the last couple of seasons, that the NFL is not only throwing at a higher clip than they're used to, but they're spreading the ball around with the exception of receivers that are just dominant at their position. So while guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are on pace for double-digit targets per game, there's a bunch of other receivers that aren't even close to that because they have to share with other wideouts on their team. You can look at the Bucs receivers as an example of that. Still getting a lot of targets for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, but not necessarily the same type of amount as you'll see from the elite types of wide receivers. And in PPR leagues, the top 12 of the position outscored running backs from wide receiver to running back.
Yeah.
Success rate, higher for wide receivers than it is for running backs. Even number 2 wide receivers versus number 2 running backs, better for wide receivers. And, of course, you can predict that in a non-PPR league. Wait on quarterback, don't take one early. Now I kind of see the case to be made for Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen to be round 2 picks. I still wouldn't take them in round 1. But in round 2, I think you absolutely have to take them. Those are the types of moves that are changing in fantasy. And then the last point I'll make is that when you there's going to be a point in your draft, and it might be round 4, where everybody kind of looks the same. And at that point, you have to go with the players who you think, in your mind, can break out and be big time this year. Yeah. And it might have to take something completely unforeseen for it to happen, like an injury, something like that. And it could also go the other way, where that player that you drafted gets injured or takes a step back in production, and it kind of hurts your team a little bit. But there's going to come a point in draft where you're going to need to figure out a way to differentiate between players that look the same. I think that's just something that every fantasy manager has to figure out before they go into their drafts.
Dave, it's 2 wide receivers, since we're talking about wide receivers. There's 2 wide receivers that, kind of didn't have had up and down years. One got hurt. Cooper Kupp, is he still considered a first-round pick to you? And where do you see DeAndre Hopkins? I'm trying to plan my attack,
I like it. I think the majority of fantasy managers see what Cooper Kupp has done over the last 2 seasons with Matthew Stafford, and they will race to it. There's potentially could be the number 1 receiver in fantasy. Better points per game than even Justin Jefferson last year when he was on the field. Everybody's going to be a little hesitant because he got hurt last year. He had the hamstring pull in training camp already. I know he's starting to practice again. Stafford's healthy, and this is a different type of Rams team. Their defense isn't going to be as good, so they should be chasing points a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the league in targets this year. Certainly targets per game. Could be as high as 12 targets per game. Wow. I just think that he's going to continue to get open. He's kind of used the same way. Well, actually, it's more like this. Justin Jefferson and Travis Kelce are kind of used the same way that Cooper Kupp's been used in L.A. That's been that copycat that we've seen from those other teams. And I just see Cooper Kupp as a clear first-round pick, especially in PPR, maybe late round 1 in non-PPR. You asked about DeAndre Hopkins. He's also been on a diet of 10 targets per game. I almost said 10 touchdowns. That would make him the number 1 pick. 10 targets per game. In Arizona, he had it. In Houston, he had it. I don't think he gets there in Tennessee. The Titans have really proven over the years that they love Derrick Henry and they want to run the football. That's an example of what I was talking about a few minutes ago. If Derrick Henry were to become ineffective or get hurt, then I think DeAndre Hopkins would go right back to that 10 target per game range. He would be worth a very good pick. But Derrick Henry is half cyborg. He rarely gets hurt, and he's been dominant even in terrible situations around his team. So I don't see DeAndre Hopkins quite getting there. I like him in mid to late round 4 in PPR, maybe closer to round 5 in non-PPR. Very nervous about the amount of touchdowns Hopkins will score this year.
Hey, Dave, we talk about Nick Chubb here as much as I think any player gets talked about in any market around the country. We love Nick Chubb. We think he's unquestionably the best back in the NFL in terms of on the field on Sundays with what actually happens. The ball almost spit up his water. I wasn't sure what he was trying to do there. But when you look at it from a fantasy perspective,
I'm out of control.
Is Nick Chubb a top 2-3 running back? I know he's not the same catches as McCaffrey, but he's so damn good. Is he not a top 2 or 3 running back in fantasy terms?
No.
Look, don't hang up on me. I'm going to say no. And it really comes down to what I kind of felt like I saw in that first preseason game against the Commanders and where I think this offense is going. And that's really more what it's about, is the direction of Cleveland's offense. Deshaun Watson looked comfortable. He said after the game, I asked him a question about it. I was there. I asked him a question about whether or not he's more comfortable this year. He said he's way more comfortable. And so I would expect this offense to do something it hasn't done yet under Kevin Stefanski, and that's throw the ball close to like 57% of the time. And that's not even going to be – that'll be like league average this year. And I still think that there's room for that to even go up. I think they ride Deshaun Watson a little bit more. And I don't think that necessarily means that Nick Chubb's going to be completely out of the game plan. I think you can still see 3 targets per game. He had that on average in 2019, probably a higher target per game average when Kareem Hunt wasn't on the Browns at that time. But I do worry about Nick Chubb being exactly as good or better than he was last year. And last year was a career year for him. Over 1,700 total yards, 13 touchdowns. The guy is an electric running back. I just feel like in this era of fantasy, there are a few running backs that have a higher ceiling than him. And it's just what I worry about. Like McCaffrey, I'd rather have him. Eckler, would rather have him. I've had a chance to see Bijan Robinson in person. I'd rather have him. I think he's going to catch more passes. Where I really get hung up on with Chubb is versus Saquon Barkley in New York, Tony Pollard in Dallas. You could make the case for Chubb over those guys, and that would make him the number 4 running back in fantasy. I look at him as someone that you're going to take with like a top 7 pick in non-PPR leagues, because I'm sure about those carries. I think he's going to get the majority, obviously. But in PPR, I still worry about him getting maybe 35 to 40 over the course of the season, and that's not bad. But you're usually looking for, in round one, a running back to get 60-plus catches over the balance of the season.
Dave, you talk about DeAndre Hopkins, doesn't matter who he's playing with. That's the case with some guys. But I definitely factor it. Like, I look at Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. With Baker as their quarterback, I'm staying away. I don't want Kyle Pitts and Drake London because I don't trust their quarterback situation. I don't want Terry McLaurin because I don't trust Washington's situation. How big a factor is it for you, the teams that have the bad quarterback situations, especially the wide receivers on those teams?
Well, first of all, I do think that DeAndre Hopkins does fall into this bucket that you're talking about, because he's caught passes in the past from some pretty bad quarterbacks, but he's also caught passes from Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, and those guys I think are pretty good quarterbacks, especially compared to Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's serviceable. He's probably better than that. I'm probably downgrading him a little bit, but I just think that the offense in Tennessee doesn't tailor itself to helping Deshaun, or DeAndre rather, having a big year. You can see where my mind's at. I'm still thinking about the Browns. We are seeing quite a different type of ADP for Mike Evans, just as an example, this year compared to prior years. And you could throw Chris Godwin on that list. You could throw Michael Pittman on that list out in Indianapolis now that they've got a rookie QB there. I kind of agree with you on McLaurin. His ADP is a little bit lower. What if I told you could get all the receivers that I just named in late round 5 or later in full PPR? Whereas Evans previously was like a round 3 pick. Godwin was a round 3 pick. McLaurin last year, I think he was a round 4 pick. Pittman last year, a round 4 or round 5 pick. Fantasy managers have picked up on this. And the other thing that I think about, and this is how my mind works, is last year nobody wanted a piece of the Seahawks wide receivers because everybody was scared that Geno Smith was going to be awful. And Geno ended up being great. Lockett was better than Metcalf. Both of them were over 13 PPR points per game. And they helped fantasy managers because they were such great values on draft day.
That's true.
I'm kind of leaning in that direction in the case of Godwin and Evans. I know that Baker Mayfield isn't a great quarterback, but those guys are going to change their roles a little bit in this offense. And I think Baker can hit them on short area stuff. I think Baker will actually look for Mike Evans inside the 10-yard line, and that'll really help him out. So I'm with those guys, and I'm with Pitts too, because I saw Kyle Pitts last year getting wide open a ton, and Marcus Mariota couldn't hit him. I've seen Desmond Ridder practice in person this offseason. I'm not going to say that he looks great, but I think he's an upgrade on Marcus Mariota. And so that makes me hopeful that Kyle Pitts, especially at his depressed ADP, he also is getting drafted in late round 5. I think he's worth taking a chance on in that range.
Dave, I had Jalen Hurts. I went on a limb and drafted him, and he showed up and showed out. What is his ceiling this year? Is he between him and Mahomes the number 1 pick? Or what are some other guys who you think could be a dual threat quarterback sneakily that can have really good years, kind of like Jalen Hurts did last year?
Love this question. I don't know if there's anybody that can have a year quite like Jalen Hurts had last year, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about Hurts first. If your league counts 4 points for passing touchdowns but 6 points for rushing touchdowns, Hurts is the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. I think Philadelphia will actually be in more competitive games this year. I don't think they're going to be able to just steamroll their way with the ground game to a bunch of victories. And I think they'll want to flaunt those wide receivers that they have. And Jalen Hurts has looked outstanding in camp for the 2nd year in a row. The secret's out on him. He's turned out to be an amazing quarterback, and he will be great in fantasy. In 6-point for passing touchdown leagues, only Mahomes is ahead of him. I have Josh Allen 1 spot behind Jalen Hurts because I expect Jalen Hurts to keep that rushing production going, and that includes touchdowns. Remember, they gave up on Miles Sanders. He's in Carolina now. And they added DeAndre Swift, who's more of a pass-catching back. I could see Hurts running for more touchdowns this year than he had last year. And I think he can be a better thrower this year than he was last year. So I'm all about Jalen Hurts. Every time I'm in round 3 in my drafts and he's there, I take him. It doesn't matter what I need. I'm never taking really a quarterback in round 2. Love Jalen Hurts and love the upside. Who is the next Jalen Hurts? I'm looking at Indianapolis and Anthony Richardson. And this is where I say he's not going to be as good as Jalen Hurts last year. But he might be as good as Jalen Hurts 2 seasons ago when Hurts was a top 12 fantasy quarterback on a points per game basis. We know that Richardson can run. I don't love the interception that he threw in the first preseason game, but I don't think that's on him. I think the receiver ran a bad route. There were 2 throws that Richardson made. One was a dart. It was like 20 yards to his tight end. He threw it over a linebacker's head. It was accurate. It was amazing. And then he also had a deep bomb to Alec Pierce that Pierce dropped. If Pierce catches that for a touchdown, then the whole world is going to race after Anthony Richardson. But he didn't. And so fantasy managers didn't see him score that touchdown. They didn't hear about it on social media, and they're not as interested in Anthony Richardson. You can get him after 100th overall in fantasy drafts. I personally would take him before then because he's got so much upside. And I would pair him with a veteran quarterback who you can get like 20 fantasy points from, like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, I think I would pair him with, and just have 2 quarterbacks going into the season, one with huge upside in Richardson and one who's got a safe floor like one of the veteran quarterbacks. That's the guy that I would say could be the next Jalen Hurts. It could take a little while, but he's the one that just has that rushing profile like very few quarterbacks in fantasy have.
Dave, I got 2 questions for you. One is because Steve Becker wants to know, what's your thoughts on Elijah Moore? Secondly, out of all of the rookie wide receivers, which one do you trust to have the biggest upside in fantasy this year?
In fantasy this year, it's Jordan Addison. I think he can hit over 1,000 yards. I think he could have 7 touchdowns. You like that, don't you?
That's what I said.
I moved him up in my rankings today. He is a top 30 receiver for me in PPR. Just because if he's taking over the spot that Adam Thielen had. Thielen was getting 7 targets per game. And, Thielen's a great route runner, but he's not fast. Addison's a great route runner, and he's fast. And he's got good hands. And I think that the Vikings are going to be one of like 3 teams this year that might throw the ball 700 times. I think the Chargers are another team that could do that, by the way. And, of course, Kansas City always, Buffalo or other teams. So more than 3 teams, I guess. But Jordan Addison is somebody that I'm starting to really get excited about and starting to even reach for a little bit. Ahead of the Steelers wide receivers, ahead of Hollywood Brown, and, yes, ahead of Mike Evans even. And I like Mike Evans. I like Jordan Addison more in PPR. The other receiver that you asked me about was Elijah Moore. I love that he lined up in the backfield on the first snap of the Browns preseason game. Could the Browns be looking at Elijah Moore as their low-rent version of Deebo Samuel? Are they trying to create that type of mismatch in their offense with Moore? This kid was exciting when he came out of college, and his practices in New York as a rookie were drawing all kinds of attention. I had people texting me from New York saying Elijah Moore is really the best receiver that the Jets have had in years. I made him like my sleeper of the summer, and then he went out and he had a drop and a concussion in his first game, and he never really put it all together. Yeah. But he's getting an opportunity to put it together now. He's got Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. I think that that's a really good thing. I love the idea of going up to get him. He's also somebody that I would take before 100th overall in fantasy drafts, which means we're talking round 8, maybe round 9, in that same range as Sky Moore, in that same range as Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay.
That's where you
thank you,
Tyvis
Dave.
is going
thank
crazy.
You, Dave. He was doing victory laps.
As if you just said he was a superstar. Because we had a discussion earlier
this
about
guy.
If a Browns player was lost for the season besides Watson, what would be the biggest loss? He said a lot. We said Myles Garrett, which seemed like the obvious answer, and he said Elijah Moore is the second most important player on the Browns, not from a fantasy standpoint, just from an NFL standpoint. We said he was nuts.
Let's see. Garrett would be second.
Yeah.
Chubb might be third. I don't even know if he's fourth. I don't even know if he's eighth, to be honest with you.
He's not even the most important receiver.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper.
You know what?
Yeah.
He's
all
an
I'm going
important
to tell
part.
y'all
He's an
is
important.
time
What about
will tell.
Antonio? Hold
Yeah.
on. If Joe
that's
Antonio's
true.
out, that's a big loss.
Dave, I got to get a couple of things in. We'll talk more about this later. Dave, in a super flex league, how many where would you have to be drafting in the first round before you go away from quarterback and take Justin Jefferson?
9th, maybe.
That
10th.
low, huh?
Listen, this is just one of my philosophies when it comes to leagues where you can start 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You absolutely should start 2 quarterbacks, and you should certainly do your best to get 2 very good quarterbacks on your team. I've got my quarterback rankings right in front of me.
Yeah.
Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Burrow, Fields, Lamar, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Those are my first 8 picks. I will take in a super flex. I will take all 8 of those guys before Justin Jefferson. 9 is Deshaun. I don't know if I can take Deshaun over Jefferson, and I don't know if I have to. because Deshaun might make it back to me in round 2. And
That's
if he
true.
doesn't, then someone like Tua or Dak, Cousins, they'll make it back to me in round 2. But in that type of draft, I try and get 2 quarterbacks with my first 3 picks.
Are you so you're saying Mahomes number 1 overall if it's 6 points for a passing touchdown, Hurts number 1 overall if it's 4 points. I mean, it's a coin flip between those two anyway. But no,
I mean, not if rushing is favored, because
Yeah.
Mahomes just doesn't run it as much as Hurts or Allen.
Are there any guys that you can draft and get a bargain on that you would stash? Maybe an Alvin Kamara, maybe somebody who you're thinking about. You're like, ooh, last year I took Deshaun Watson, put him on my bench, and it ended up being a keeper league, so I can have him this year. Is there anybody
Smart.
that you would kind of stash and say he may be a rookie or a quarterback might not be up to speed, but like middle of the season I think he'll come around. We'll put him on my bench. Is a guy that can potentially make a splash.
Sure. The very first name that popped into my head is Roshan Johnson of the Chicago Bears. Loved how he looked in the first preseason game. Saw him practice in June, and even though he wasn't really practicing with the starters in June, coaching staff loved him. And I think he's going to get an opportunity to be – he might be the number 2 running back in that offense week 1. He might be the number 1 running back in this offense by Halloween. He's a really good player. He's a 3-down player, very physical, and Chicago certainly would love to have somebody like that, and his efficiency would spike if he's playing the majority of the snaps with Justin Fields. So that was the first name that came to my mind. Here's 2 more, one at different positions. In L.A. with the Chargers, Quentin Johnston. Is somebody that I'm starting to target for my benches, because I think he's already going to see in the neighborhood of 4 targets per game, and he's got big play potential. And this is an offense I already said they're a candidate to throw 700 times this year. Keenan Allen's over 30 years old. Mike Williams has had a hard time staying healthy. Johnston could replace either of those guys if it came down to it in that offense and work as an every down receiver. With Justin Herbert as his quarterback, I really like that fit. And long term, he could end up being the best receiver in this draft. So he's somebody that I'm absolutely looking for in that type of scenario. And then in Buffalo, tight end Dalton Kincaid really just started training camp on fire with the Bills. He played 5 snaps in their first preseason game, didn't have any targets, blocked on 3 of the plays, chucked a defender to set a pick on another play. I think they're hiding him in plain sight. I think that there's a very real chance that he's the number 2 target getter in that offense behind Stephon Diggs as soon as this season.
Man.
Tyvis, you got a quick one. Wrap us up with the quick
Jameer Gibbs for the Lions. Where you got him? What is he? Tell me.
Depends on the format. If it's PPR, I think he's worth taking late round 3, early round 4, somewhere in that range. Another young player who could start the year in a part-time role with his offense, and then by Halloween be the lead guy because he's so explosive. He's such a good pass catcher out of the backfield. He is an upgrade for them over DeAndre Swift, and Swift was averaging more than 13 PPR points per game last year for Detroit. So I absolutely think that he can be worth that type of investment, a top 40 pick, if you will, in PPR leagues. A little bit lower than that in non-PPR, but still somebody that fantasy managers should be very excited about.
Dave, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Thanks.
Great seeing you, Bull. Good seeing everybody else, too.
All right, Dave.
There you go. Dave
Thanks,
Richard,
Dave.
fantasy football season is here. Check him out, CBSSports.com. He does a great job. Great columns, rankings, all that stuff. Mikey McNuggets.
Dave's our favorite. Real quick, and Dave had talked about winning fantasy championships. He helped Bull win his last year. He helped me finish in last, even though that was my fault. Not Dave's, but as part of that, we're going to try hooking up Dave with some Browns gear for the upcoming season. And if we're doing that, we're going to be using the promo code fanatics.com/UCSS, buying all our gear with that link to help us help Dave out. It helps us out on the back end. We appreciate you guys. So what you waiting for? Don't be non-swaggy. Be as swaggy as you can for the Brown season. Fanatics has all your best Browns gear moving forward. And with that, it is the return of Coach Tyvis. Tyvis, before we get into the Ronnie Hickman film, have you missed the Coach Tyvis role? Have you missed doing these kind of things for us and the UCSS audience?
Have I missed it? Yeah, I always enjoy being able to educate and teach people things about the game of football. I mean, that's just kind of the person that I am now. So, yeah, I missed it.
Well, we are excited to have you back. We're going to do a lot more Coach Tyvis during the football season. And today, Tyvis, tell us people who we're breaking down.
We are breaking down a former Buckeye, safety, near and dear to my heart, the position safety. Ronnie Hickman, who had a really big game. He had 2 good plays, but he also had a bad play. So I'll talk about those 3 plays in totality. Yeah, let's get to it.
Here's the first one. It was the first interception of the game for Ronnie Hickman just before the half. Tyvis, walk us through this.
Okay, so they come out. It looks like they're in cover 3. You know, it's your typical cover 3. You got your hook droppers underneath. You got your buzz players. You got your corners on the top, and you got Ronnie Hickman who's playing in the post. And the thing that I like about this is, you know, he's reading the quarterback. He's getting his depth. When you're playing at that post safety, the number one thing you want to do is you have to read the front tip of a quarterback's shoulder. And I'm giving y'all classified information. Y'all make sure y'all tell y'all kids about this too. If you read the front tip of your quarterback, he tells you where he's going with the ball and the way his shoulder. If his shoulder's up, it's going deep. If it's flat, that means it's something short. If you look at this quarterback, it's turned to the middle, it's cocked up like he's throwing it deep, so you know to get back. Ronnie Hickman does a great job of getting back there, making a play on the ball, playing center field, and he makes a great play on this ball. Would like him to be a little bit more deeper. I think he got caught a little bit looking in that backfield and let people get past him because you got to be the last line of defense. But he was able to come through and make a play on the ball, so it all worked out from there. Give credit to the pass rush, too.
We have the second angle of this, Tyvis, so we'll play that for the people here. Anthony, you can take that. This is the all-22 version, Tyvis, if you want to walk us through what you're seeing here as well.
So you get a great pass rush, boom. He sees the guy. You see how at the beginning of that clip, they put that tight end or that slot receiver. They run him down the middle and they sit him down. And Ronnie Hickman does a job of settling his feet. You can't do that. You see right there, he settles his feet. You cannot do that. They put the cheese in his face to try to throw that post behind him. He has to be disciplined enough to know that that's the hook player's player. He is to get deep, and if he does that, then he won't have to worry about, just running underneath it. He'd be standing there, and it'd be essentially a punt return. But he still makes a good play on the ball and gets the interception and gets it down.
How much of a chance do we think he has of making the team?
Well, after Bubba Bolden went down, and after making 2 plays like this, if he finds some value on special teams, he will absolutely make this 53-man roster.
Told you. Hickman. And, by the way, I like the fact that he played it in the center field and he was able to track the football. See, a lot of these DBs be around here looking around like, oh, I took a bad angle at it. I like the fact he got back there, cut the route off, and he got to work on his return skills.
No, he got tackled as soon as he touched it. But the thing, like I said, it's good. It's not great because the great part of it be he wouldn't have been enticed by that guy sitting down. He would have been in the post. And like I said, if he was where he was supposed to be to begin with, it would have been essentially him catching the punt return and he could have took off and got yards. But he got great makeup speed and he played the ball really well and made a play on it. So that would be the next step, to not bite the cheese.
So most teams keep how many corners? 5, 6?
He's
corners. He plays safety. And they keep 4.
No.
Five corners, 4 safeties.
That's a bad job out of me. Yeah. Okay, so how many? 4 safeties, right? 5?
4 safeties.
All right, so we got Delpit, we got Thornhill.
McLeod, you have your 3 locks.
Yeah.
McLeod, and then you got D'Anthony Bell.
Or him.
What about Tanner McCollister?
We don't know him.
He's from Ohio State. He played like nickel.
He's an Ohio State guy too,
He played nickel at Ohio State.
So it's between Hickman and D'Anthony Bell.
Yep. Because I haven't seen Tanner even out there.
No minutes.
Okay.
Minimowski.
So that was the first interception for Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah.
That was, I'd say, the easier of the 2. The second one was a hell of a play on the ball. And Tyvis, we have 2 different angles of that play. So if you want to break that down for the people, let's see that. Anthony, you take the second play, and Tyvis, take it away.
So this one is a little bit better. They look like they in cover 3. You could tell. No, they might be in man. They in man on this one. So if they're in man on this one right here, then he's truly at a post safety. And they're in the red zone, so you don't really want to go into the end zone, which he does a great job selling his feet right there. Makes a clean break. Well, I would like his feet to be a little bit more tighter, but I'm nitpicking on that one. But you can see the break and drive on the ball. He comes straight down, attacks the ball, and rips it from the defender. That right there is stuff that gets you on the 53-man roster right there, making plays on the ball. Because like G. Bush just said, DBs don't play the ball well. This is a kid here who knows how to play the ball and knows how to finish. That's the thing. You can get there, but a lot of people don't finish. And he finishes by snatching the ball out of his hand, rips it away while they on the ground. around. So, because, if you catch the ball with the wide receiver, if y'all simultaneously catch it, it goes to the offense. Right. He does a great job of ripping it from him, taking the ball so it's clear, an interception. He do stuff like this and continue to make plays like this, then this will definitely land him on the 53-man roster.
What do you mean when you say you want him to keep his feet tighter?
His feet. So when you look at his back pedal, his feet kind of gets wide a little bit. And what happens when you get wide is you step under yourself. But if you keep them close, it's boom, boom. It's a 1-2 thing. Now, don't get me wrong.
When you say get under yourself, you mean like kind of lose balance a little bit?
Yeah, like you step in the bucket. You put your weight back.
So you're not as able to get back.
So when you're backpedaling, you always want to keep your feet down. You want to keep your chest down, and you want to keep your feet tight. So then you break. If you lean in forward, your body's already forward leaning.
Right.
So you just run out of it and you break on it quicker. If your feet is wide and you back, when you take your break step, your shoulders go back like this before you go, and they call it stepping in the bucket.
So the fact that he didn't have great footwork going back is even more impressive that he was able to get up and make
exactly. Because if you, but I'm just being nitpicky. Like I'm trying to go from good to great.
Right.
I'm trying to make sure that
it's not like
great.
It was a disaster.
No, everything was good.
It could be tighter.
Yeah, but if he made his feet tighter, his break would be more smoother. Maybe he catches it and he runs through it and keeps on running.
This is just goes to show you the difference between practice and regular games. He's able to run through the football in the game because he's like, okay, I got equipment on. I'm about to jump this route. So
you can't do that in practice.
And think about it like this.
Now you got to pull off.
How many? To me, I don't know, Tyvis. Let me ask you this: is this a product of Jim Schwartz defense? Because last year and a lot of years prior to this, I saw the safeties playing at 900,000 feet. They playing on a Goodyear blimp. They playing in the Muni lot. No safety. Jabril Peppers wasn't.
Jabril Peppers is still out.
He's still out in the Muni lot waiting on that next deal.
G-Dub had us playing at 20. And I used to be at practice. When I did that OTAs and we lined up at 20, they walked us through why they did it.
Why?
And I understood why they did it, but I'm like,
if you scared, go to church.
because the way they did it, so G-Dub's defense was
Greg Williams, by the way.
I'm sorry. Yeah, GW is Greg Williams. So Greg Williams' defense, by the way, is cover 2 based. Okay, and the difference between him and everybody else is everybody else pretty much runs cover 3 as a base. Okay, so you got your linebackers and your down safeties kind of setting the edge. Well, in G-Dub's defense, your corners is the guys who keep contained.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously in cover 3, they're out of there. But in cover 2, they're setting that hard edge, so nothing gets past them. And you're okay. The corners can play aggressively because the safeties are 20 yards off. So if anything happens, the safety should be right there to be able to erase it. Yeah. Whereas in cover 3, you got to stay on top of all your routes. That's kind of what they teach you, stay on top of the routes. So that's why they slide you off at 20, because if the corner makes some mistakes or sees something wrong and they fire and take off and it's a pass, you can erase it. That's why they lined us up like that. I hated it, but that's what it was. What it was.
Why would you put the onus on the smallest guys on the field?
Because you want to be aggressive on the run game. So the way, so corner playing cover 2 corner is like this. You was lined up inside, but you was looking in the backfield. So if you thought it was run, you could take off right now. It ain't no read steps, nothing. Take off and set the edge right now, because that means that you set the edge. They can't get outside of you. They cut it back, and all your linebackers and D-line is right there. But if it's a regular cover 2, obviously you press the guy up and you hinge back, and then you come up late. But with G-Dub, you inside, and you pretty much looking at the backfield. And as soon as you rerun, you got the right to just trigger. Because you covered, because the safety got your back if you wrong. That's the way they looked at it.
Yeah, I guess I would rather have my.
I don't know how we got on G. I don't even know how we got on G-Dub. Yeah.
By the way, I was watching. I was in one of these Instagram spirals again yesterday.
Of course,
reels.
The rabbit hole.
And one of them, I love watching these videos from Travis and Jason Kelsey. They have some.
They're awesome.
Hilarious stuff. One of them was talking about how often they use soap and shampoo, whatever. But this one time they were actually talking about football. And I was surprised. Jason Kelsey said, he said, including quarterback. He said cornerback is the hardest position in football.
It is.
Because you do everything backwards.
It is.
And just that you lose the guy for a second, you're done.
Yeah. You're gonna get beat.
All right.
You wouldn't think
70%
an
of the
offensive
time.
lineman would say
I got
that.
one more play to break down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
speaking of getting beat, we
Yeah,
talked
I'm about
about
to say,
two
y'all
very impressive plays from Ronnie
right
Hickman.
on.
There you go.
This was a great transition. He was not a flawless game from the Ohio State rookie. And Tyvis, you can break down this. We have both angles, the all-22 and the broadcast angle. We'll start with the broadcast angle, but this is Ronnie Hickman trying to guard Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, so this is the thing that gets me about, Jim Schwartz's defense. Our safeties.
That was that double play.
Listen,
a couple weeks ago.
Listen, so the thing about our safeties is you have to be able to check. At times, you're going to have to be able to check receivers as well. Usually, in NFL defenses, safeties are protected because they're checking tight ends. But in Jim Schwartz's defense, as you know, Malcolm Jenkins had times where he lined up on wide receivers. So for this particular route right here, why did this play go bad? Because they came out there in man-to-man. So when they run man-to-man, how they run it, and how typically a lot of people run their one coverage, their cover one is that you play off outside leverage. You play on the outside shoulder, so if he runs an out route, you should be all over. If he runs a corner route, you should be all over it. Well, in this particular route, Jahan Dotson does a great job of selling that over route. And what happened is Ronnie Hickman understands the speed that Jahan Dotson got. You see how right then off the snap, he didn't even take no read steps or nothing. Jahan Dotson was on him immediately. So what does that mean is now I need to get on my horse because if he runs this over route, I ain't going to be able to get there. So Ronnie Hickman in his mind is thinking I need to cut this over route over. He didn't play it the way he should have played it. If he would have just stayed on the outside pad, even if Jahan Dotson beat him on the over route, it's a post safety right there on the post route, and it's a whole player linebacker right there. So you got inside help. They tell you that you have no help, but you can see that linebacker backing up right there.
Yep. Boom.
So you got the inside help. Till at least he's not going to cut the route, but he's going to buy that time. So the quarterback's going to look, hold the ball for a second because I can't throw the whole shot, so it'll buy you time to catch up. So on this play, Ronnie Hickman just get caught guessing on the route. Jahan Dotson does a great job breaking that thing back out on the out/7 cut. They got to do a way better job of tackling because DeAnthony Bell and Ronnie Hickman does a horrible job tackling right here. If at the worst, I don't care if you get it down on the 1 yard line. You defend every blade of grass because you never know what happens on the 1 yard line. It's been so many times people have had a goal line stand, which would have been huge. It would have been a nail in the coffin for the Washington Commanders. So they got to do a better job of getting them down.
Well, we saw the Browns unable to score inside the 5 on their first drive.
Exactly.
So
you defend every blade of grass. I don't care. You always give your defense a chance to come out and play defense.
And I think your point is on that play, right? Better to lose them in the middle than on the outside. Because
you got help. All your help. They tell you in cover one that you have no help. That's a lie. In cover one, you have help. You have a post safety and a hook player.
All right.
And cover zero, you on your own.
Excellent analysis from Tyvis there. By the way, what are your thoughts on touchdown and sack celebrations from veteran players in the preseason? Are we okay with that?
Do you think, Woody?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's the thing that when you playing, you got to be in the whole atmosphere to pass.
So you're just in the moment.
Yeah.
You're not thinking it's a preseason game.
No. Because it's all.
I
It's a
understand with young guys.
Well, you got to think about this, especially on a sack. It's a relief for a sack because you go in all these practices, you can't touch the quarterback.
That's true.
You're getting double team. You can't get home. They three-stepping you. Ball coming out quick, and you finally get that sack.
Man, it's a par trois.
Yes.
Mikey McNuggets.
Tyvis, you're not here tomorrow, so I want to ask this to you. Bull and G will talk about this tomorrow, so just let Tyvis go. But
Okay.
Hickman had a breakout performance against Washington. What do you want to see from him tomorrow night, as in that next progression that he needs to take to make this 53-man roster?
You talking about Ronnie Hickman?
Yes, correct.
Well, I think he just need to continue to be where he needs to be, So like how I was saying on them post routes, he was caught just a tad bit short, and it was his playmaking ability that kind of saved him. Well, now they pointed that out. If a good coach has gotten him and did film session with him, they're going to tell him, why were you even enticed by this guy sitting down? Like you see these linebackers right here just continue to back up. So for him to take that next step, it's about just continuously showing that you understand the playbook, you understand where you fit in the defensive scheme. Because these coaches have to be able to trust you when if Juan Thornhill goes down and you're the next guy in line, it'd probably be Roddy McLeod. But anyways, let's say you're the next guy in line. Right. That coach's job is on the line. His name is stamped to you. So if you don't perform, they're not going to say the player's not good. They're going to say, why wasn't your guy ready to play? Why didn't you have this kid coached up to play? We kept him on the 53-man roster because you said that this guy could help us in the fall. So if he didn't get it done, it's on you. So now you playing with a coach's job. So for him, he needs to take that next step of making sure that he understands exactly where he needs to be. Alignment and assignment sound for the next 2 games. And like I say, if he makes some plays on special teams, that right there solidifies it. If I was him, I'd go to Bubba Ventrone and tell him, you know what? Special teams is the most underappreciated thing in the game of football. They don't understand the magnitude that we have, that we could change the whole outcome of a game. What can I do to help this team win games in the fall?
Yeah.
If he has that conversation right there, Bubba Ventrone to take it back to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry and say, you know what? This guy gets it. This guy wants to play for us. This guy wants to help us win games in the fall so much that he doesn't even care about what's going on defense. He wants to make an impact on special teams. He's truly invested in this organization. They'll keep a guy like that. It's all about playing the game.
Did you ever say that?
I sure did. Now you think I made the
That's where I figured you got it from.
It's right here in this paper. You see who wrote that down?
Mikey McNuggets. Go
All
ahead.
right, one last fast read before we get to our last 2 topics of the day. But tonight, the next edition of the Behind the Glass podcast airs around 7 o'clock. Myself, Anthony, Earl, previewing tomorrow's preseason game between the Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles. What we expect from DTR, DeJuan Jones, Cade York, and some others. So make sure you guys tap in tonight around 7 o'clock. We will be doing it a little different this time, but I promise you guys will enjoy it.
Couple of quickies before we get to the top 32. Tyvis, do we want to discuss why you and I for a minute giggled during Dave Richards' interview, or should we do that off the air?
No, we can talk about it.
I missed it, so please enlighten me.
We can talk about it.
Do you want to? Or
Go ahead.
Gee, do you know why we were laughing?
Go ahead. I was looking at y'all, man. I missed that one.
Had nothing to do with Dave. It's because G bit his fingernails and spit it. Spit out the finger. And then we both heard it. And I looked at Tyvis and I looked at each other. And then we started laughing.
And I was like, and then I was looking like, what are they laughing at? That wasn't even laughable. Like, I was like, what happened right there?
Because it was just wild that it just went past our face like that. Like,
look at Tyvis.
For G, guys, let the man bite his fingernails
I know,
in
but it was
peace.
funny.
It was a good one, too. It was one I've been,
trust me, we know.
it was one I've been trying to get for a while, too, bro. I'm like, man, I don't want to, like, it's one of them long ones. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. Let me savor this. Back in the day, I used to think when people used to spit sunflower seeds out, I used to think those were nails.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, dang, these dudes' nails is crazy.
Yeah. Depending on how you crack it.
The second, though, because Tyvis wasn't here for this. So last Friday, we did this draft where we drafted like team names of sports teams to make the best force to fight aliens.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
It was crazy. It was a dope one.
But what we need to do, and I think Tyvis has to be there when we do this.
The college version.
No. Forget the college version. Is sports media personalities in Northeast Ohio. Like draft a team of sports media personalities to be your team. More not fighting aliens, more like if there was a fight between these 4 teams, which team would you want? You know what I mean?
Oh.
I think Tyvis would have fun with that too. I know I would love to do that.
We will do that.
We
We'll
gotta
have
do
Tyvis involved. Tyvis, hold your thoughts on that until we figure out
Anyway,
who's
that's coming up at
eligible
some point.
and who's ineligible. But we do have to get to this right now, and that is the continuation of our 32 and 32 series. And we're at the halfway point, number 16, and that is a guy who has been appreciated at
Technically,
times.
the halfway point is between 16 and 17, but all right.
We didn't use his full name because it's too long.
technicality.
So number 16 is JOK. The abbreviated version, 16 and a half. The full name is 16. So this is exactly the halfway point. And Bull,
Yes.
he's the highest linebacker on the Browns on this list.
Yeah.
The 3 of us were in consensus that he is the most important linebacker on this roster.
Yeah.
You've disagreed with a lot of our choices and selections of this. You agreed with our 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
Is JOK at 16 appropriately ranked, too high, too low, or just right?
Who is the best linebacker, former linebacker, that we all know?
DeQuail Jackson.
Demario Davis.
What did we don't know Demario Davis personally.
I do.
Oh, we know personally.
Clay Matthews.
But by the way, I used Demario Davis today in the Browns
Immaculate
Grid. Or maybe it was yesterday. I can't remember now. But DeQuell is the best one we know. What does DeQuell think of
They should
JOK?
they should cut him.
They should
get him.
cut
Get him.
I can't
They
believe
should cut him.
I
Now-
can't believe
Now,
he said that.
the views of DeQuell Jackson
is out of
has
pocket.
not been updated since we've talked
Well,
to him
but-
last.
Okay, see, now he works for the Browns a little bit, or might, so he can't be as honest. Certainly can't be as honest. He can be honest, when he's talking to people behind the scenes. But DeQuell Jackson, arguably the Browns' best linebacker since they have returned in '99. I don't even know if it's arguable. Is there anybody better? Anybody in the conversation?
Demario Davis is the
But
closest.
he
Demar
wasn't
Davis
better
only played
in
here 1
Cleveland.
year.
Yeah, he wasn't better. He's the best one who played in Cleveland.
What
Guys
about
have gone on to
Jameer
be-
Miller?
I mean,
I think
was a tackling
for the
machine.
sake of argument,
DeQuell
he was a
Jackson.
DeQuell is
tackling
the
machine, and he was
answer.
stuck with all these shitty teams around.
Yeah, he was
right.
good. He was good.
If he'd been on a better team, forget about it. So, DeQuell knows that position better than anybody else that we know.
He out of pocket.
He
man.
said the guy can't play.
That's not that he was out of pocket.
And
DeQuell was out of pocket.
I
with that.
circled back, bull. I circled back.
That's what
circle
make it.
back.
That's what make it even
I spun the-
funnier.
I spun the
is
block.
that he doubled down on what he
spun
said.
the block.
That's
he
right.
said, no.
No, he's out.
He doubled
Now-
down on it.
Now, all of a sudden, after killing all of us, killing JOK,
No,
last
not
year,
all. Not all.
most of us,
Okay, I
killing
didn't
the guy,
say that.
saying he can't play. The guy who knows linebackers better than anybody said the guy cannot play. We have all of a sudden now pretended last year didn't exist and that JOK is a legitimate player because he made a tackle in a preseason game.
Hey, bull, that wasn't on the ordinary tackle.
Yeah.
When a linebacker come through on a screenplay and they clap the ankles and get up faster than the guy on the
He
ground.
look at that's great play.
Watch
look.
this play.
Ole the line. Hush, get under there. Hush.
When you
Well,
clap
that's a great.
tackle.
That's a great play.
Hey, run that back. The fact that man ran around the block. Get off me. Don't touch my body.
Whoosh.
Ankle clap. I'm already up into my dance.
see that turn?
I'm already in my dance. That is a grade A Madden play,
So-
and it makes him look like he's an 89 overall on the game.
So we've ignored everything
Whoosh,
DeQuell
whoosh.
said.
Woo!
We've ignored everything down the field
Boy,
last year.
That boy bent that corner.
You know how G and Earl mostly have made the point of saying